All right, this will be marked as an interview with Emily Greenwell on March 31st, 2017. Emily, what is your position in Centre Feminists?
I'm currently the president for this year.
And how long have you been holding that position?
Since my freshman year, the very end. I was co-president last year, my sophomore year, with another girl, but this year I'm the sole president.
And what got you interested in joining Centre Feminists?
I've been a feminist, I've been calling myself a feminist all through my high school years, and then when I came to Centre I was really excited to see that they had a feminist club, but when I went to meetings during my freshman year, I was a little disappointed to see that there weren't that many members and they didn't hold that many events. So there wasn't that big of a presence on campus. So once I got involved and they held elections, I was really one of the only people that ran for the position of president. So when I got it, I really wanted to make the club have a stronger presence on campus, was one of my main goals. And I think we've done that by holding more events.
And when was the club first started on campus? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I know that we've changed the name because it used to be the Centre Feminist Alliance, and people used to call it CFA, but we've kind of changed it to just Centre Feminist, and we abbreviate to Centre Fem, but I don't know when it was started.
And what kind of events do you guys hold each year?
So for the past few years we've been doing a equality bake sale. So basically the cost of the donuts, which we get from Burke's because everyone likes those, are stratified to reflect the wage gap. So men pay $1, women pay like 75 cents, and then women of color pay less because that's how it reflects how much they make. So that's been going really well. We donate the proceeds to the Bluegrass Rape Crisis Center. Our first year that went really terribly because people threw a fit saying that the wage gap didn't exist, and it was all over Yik Yak. And I remember having a discussion about it in one of my history classes because my professor actually had to bring it up and explain that the wage gap did exist, which some of my male classmates did not like or agree with. But yeah, so we've been holding that. We've also been holding Let's Talk About Sex, which is basically a large trivia game where we teach the students about sex ed. We talk a lot about healthy sex, STDs, just like fun sex trivia. And then if you win, we keep score throughout the whole time. And if you win, you can win like sex toys and stuff, which seems to be a big draw. We also give out free tacos. That's why it's called Let's Talk About Sex. So those are some of the fun things. Recently, we've been trying to get involved with more clubs. Upcoming, we have the Color of Feminism, which is a dinner that we're going to host collaborating with Sister to Sister, and it's going to be a dinner in the Evans Library Room where we talk about intersectional feminism and how race can be an important factor to consider when you think about feminism.
And do you think that there's a problem with gender discrimination on Center's campus now?
Yes, I definitely think that there is. I think even just looking at the way we were treated my freshman year, which is when I had just been elected, and that was our first equality bake sale. And now when we hold it, there's less resistance because people have seen it before. But I couldn't even believe that people were so like against the idea that there was a wage gap. I thought that that was common knowledge, but the uproar that campus like presented at the idea that we were trying to show was, I could not believe it. So I think that there's definitely discrimination. I think that that's also shown in the way that our administration tackles sexual assault, which is, I think, unacceptable. Yeah.
And as president of the club, do you feel more aware of these issues on campus, or do you think that most students are just turning a blind eye to it?
What do you mean? Since
it's holding your position, do you feel like you have to be more aware of these issues, or do you think that they're prevalent enough on campus that it's hard to not be aware of discrimination on campus?
I think that as president of Centre Fem, because the reason I got involved in this is because I keep an eye open for stuff like this. And so I'm not sure if it's because I'm always looking for it and I'm always trying to listen to people and watch out for instances where people could be getting trampled on or could not be getting the treatment that they deserve, or if it's because I get emails from people or I get emails from other clubs that bring that to my attention. I think that also helps bring things to my attention, especially if we're talking about feminism as intersectional. I think that it's important to have other clubs there whose focus is a little bit more narrow, because they bring issues to light that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about. So I think that we all, as a community, work together, and I don't think that just because I'm the president, I'm the only one that's experiencing these things.
And you previously mentioned that you thought that Center's administration doesn't deal with specific issues well. What do you hope to see from the administration, or changes that you'd like to see on Center's campus?
Well, if you have a look at the federal law, it's called the Clery Act. Center is currently in violation of a lot of the stipulations of the Clery Act, and if they're not in complete violation of it, they're doing the very bare minimum, which is not the recommended. Like, the Clery Act will recommend something and Center's just not doing it, which I think means that Center just doesn't think that women and their safety on this campus is a priority. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that people have felt like this for a long time, and Center doesn't even know that it's a problem. We don't have a current Title IX coordinator, like a single person that's their job. We have a team, and that's an abnormality. Most schools have a single coordinator, and currently most of the people that are on that Title IX team, according to the Clery Act, are unfit to be on the Title IX team because they have a conflict of interest. So it's highly recommended that they're not anywhere near this process. The people that conduct hearings during sexual assault cases, currently I think that's the Dean of Student Life, it's Randy Hayes. He's not allowed to be anywhere near that according to the Clery Act, because the Dean of Student Life is a conflict of interest. The policy that Center currently has is not even a policy for sexual assault. If you go and try and report, they have no idea what they're doing. They'll make you sit out in a hallway for an hour because they're calling each other trying to figure out what the next step is, because they don't know. And whether or not that's because they're you could say, that's because they're trying to do a good job, they're trying to get it right. Or you could say they're impeding the process, because who is going to come forward and report if they know that the people that are supposed to be in charge of this don't know what they're doing? They haven't done this before. They're not practiced in it because no one is coming forward to do it. Also, they haven't been trained. The Clery Act demands that all the people in this process are trained at least annually, and the people in this process have not been trained annually. They are completely insensitive. We asked, and I think the last time that the DPS officers were trained was in 2012. So that's like 5 years that they haven't been trained. So the way that Centre treats sexual assault and Title IX is completely unacceptable and criminal. And it shows a dangerous disregard for its female students.
That's all the questions that I had prepared. Lauren, did you have any questions specifically yourself?
I guess along with that last one, do you have any like specific ideas that you would like to see the center administration do? Like, I know there's that, like, we do Haven right now, like there's something else that could be better than that, like just like specific things they could do.
The Clery Act also says that we're supposed to have bystander intervention training every year, which Centre currently doesn't do. Our administration says that that's not relevant or not needed on our campus, which I think is ironic, since a lot of the ways that sexual assault happens on our campus is because of the fraternity culture, which is something that they've instituted. The administration has instituted because they don't let us have parties anywhere else. So the only place we can have parties is the fraternity houses legally, like according to DPS. So all we have to rely on if someone is completely drunk is bystander intervention, and yet they're saying we don't need that because it's not important. So I don't know what the administration thinks is going on, if they think that the low numbers of reporting is because it's not happening, or if it's because they've made such a hostile environment that no one wants to do it. We also don't allow anonymous reporting, which is, again, illegal. You have to, Centre says that they cannot guarantee your confidentiality as a anonymous reporter, which is, again, unacceptable. You should be able to say, I don't want to have anything to do with this process, but I need you to know that someone assaulted me. You should be able to report online. A lot of other schools have that, because sometimes after something happens, you're too physically shook up to be able to leave your room, and going to have a meeting with a DPS officer is not something you want to do, especially if they're going to sit there and grill you about unnecessary things. So I think there's a lot of improvements Centre could make, just by following the basic law that's already set in place.
I guess back to your program things, you said I guess there was not a good response to the bake sale. What is the responses you've had with the talk about sex? Have people been interested in that?
Yeah, people have had a lot more positive comments about the talk about sex. I'm not sure. I think part of that is because it's a lighter topic. A lot of people want to learn things about sex ed. Also, they like free tacos, and also they like sex toys. So, that's a fun thing. It's not as heavy of a conversation as something like wage inequality or Title IX discrepancies. So it's something that Centre Fem can do that's more lighthearted. So I think that's why maybe we have a better response. The first time we held it in the UN room, and there were so many people that people were sitting on the floor, and we ran out of tacos, and it was people loved it. And so this past year we held it in Cowan, and a lot of people came, and it was really successful. We're going to keep doing it because it's great.
So you think that these kind of conversations, Centre students are interested in talking about this kind of thing? like
Talking about sex ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think center students are definitely interested in talking about that, especially because I think that center, the way that our party culture is set up is a hookup culture. So I think that information about safe sex and information about STDs is something that's valuable to them. And it seemed like people paid a lot of attention during those points of the presentation because it's extremely relevant to our campus.
Do you have any more plans for the future, like new programs to raise more awareness about like gender discrimination or sex education? Are there any different things you're planning to do in the future, or just keep up the same programs?
I'd like to be more politically involved. I'd like to do more demonstrations or perhaps protests, but we're working on the Title IX stuff for right now because we're working on the initiative with some other students, Olivia Renfro and Annie Trentham, to try and get some of that stuff done because we think it's like imperative to the campus and we need a solution now. But after that, I'd really like to delve into some political conversations because I think those are important.
I think that's all we have for you. Thank you. for your
Thank
time,
you.
Emily.